And we're live. Hey, and welcome back. Noemi here, founder of ScaleWave. Allow me to also go live on Instagram. Would be really nice if we could go live right away on all platforms. Apparently, that is not the case. So allow me just to go quickly live also on Instagram. And we're live. Amazing. So hey, and welcome, Noemi here. Founder of ScaleWave, we are a marketing agency specialized in helping brands selling on Amazon with advertising. Today's session is one of our, it's our 30-second session. Amazing. So 30-second session of Ask Me Anything that is Amazon ads related. And today, again, we won't disappoint. Thank you so much for all the questions that are coming in. Thank you also for the questions that came in during the last session that have been already submitted. So right now, I'm just giving you a quick rundown on what it looks like if you're completely new. These sessions usually last around 1 hour. Now with a new 2-month-old baby in our household, probably sometimes it's going to last a bit shorter than 1 hour. However, the 1 hour is our aim. And during these sessions, what I love to do is answering all the especially beginner questions when it comes down to Amazon ads. Reason for that, 6 years ago when we started selling on Amazon and I personally started to learn ads, it was one of the hardest things, and I did not know what to ask, what not to ask, and specifically the most important things that I should not be prioritizing. So today I'm going to focus the session on answering all those questions. Now, if you have more advanced questions, feel free to drop them also in the comment section. If time allows, we're going to go through those as well. And also, if you have any questions that is business related, such as hiring, firing, SOPs, processes, whatever that is business related, more than happy to answer. Again, we're going to prioritize Amazon ads questions. Now, the structure of today's session is again the same. We're going to go through all the questions that I'm seeing here and the questions that already have been submitted, and I'm going to answer them right away. Usually we also have one segment that is topic of the day. Since these sessions now cannot last always as long as 1 hour, I am going to deprioritize that for now. So I'm going to answer only the questions that have been submitted. Ready? Let's go. So we already are 3 minutes in, great. So the first question is, how do I make sponsored displayed campaigns profitable instead of just generating clicks? Now, really important when it comes down to sponsored display campaigns, this is the third ad type that right now Amazon allows. Let me correct that. This is the third major ad type that right now Amazon allows. The first one is sponsored product ads, the second one sponsored brand, and then the third one is sponsored display, which is the question about. Now, when it comes down to sponsored display ads, really important to know is that here you're looking for specific patterns when it comes down to either purchases of your product. So if you have something that is replenishable and your customers would order again and again, Amazon is going to allow you to look at the last 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 60 days window, and again, I believe 180 days. I will have to check back. Again, if they did any changes, they usually do this like overnight, But that would be the idea that you are going to retarget those customers. Now, keep in mind that when it comes down to sponsored display campaigns, these are really top of funnel. So it can be that someone who already saw your ad, you can retarget them, but also sponsored display, it can be that you're just going to share this with a specific audience, a category of people who are doing X. Right? So who have specific interest or who shopped different brands. And when it comes down to that, I think it's really important to make this distinction, because it says, how do I make these campaigns profitable instead of just getting clicks? What are we targeting? Because usually when we are targeting people who already purchased our product or who already view our product, it's highly likely that they are going to convert at least in click, right? So they are going to see, hey, I saw this ad already 3 times, and this is something that I also checked out, but I'm not so sure of it, and then I'm going to check it back. Again, talking from my point of view as your regular Joe customer who is shopping on Amazon, whenever I am, for example, looking up something, since Pride Day is coming, I was looking up this spinning mop head gadget for hardwood floors. And that is something that I was looking up, I think, a week ago. Since then, Amazon is just, or this brand actually, they're just showing me their product day in and day out when I'm logging into Amazon. So they are seeing that, hey, I already showed interest regards this product. Hey, this might be a potential customer. So when it comes down to that, highly likely that I might be converting, or because I'm more familiar with their product, I saw it already 5 times, right? Now, when it comes down to specific categories that you would be targeting here, it's highly likely that is just gathering more impressions, more market share opportunity that might or might not convert. So that can also be a reason why you might be just generating clicks and no conversions. Let me know if that answers your question. In the meantime, our cat in the background is meowing heavily. I'm wondering, should I let him, should I not? Let me know in the comments. Usually he's quiet, loud, but is a sweetheart. All right, second question is, how do I identify the best keywords to include in my PPC campaigns? I actually decided that I'm going to rather let in the cat because the baby is sleeping in the other room. So bear with me, I will be just right back. All right. Presenting Hugh, our cat. Now, the moment that I opened the door, he was already right waiting. So this is our second child. If you managed to be part of last week's session, actually, I brought on our daughter, baby daughter, on the call, and it was amazing. Now I am bringing this little fella. This has been for the past 5 years our kid. It's our oldest, let's put it that way. And right now, apparently, he really wants to be here. So rather than waking up the baby, we are going to deal with this. All right, cool. Thanks for bearing with me. All right, so the second question is, how do I identify the best keywords to include in my PPC campaigns? Great question. So when it comes down to PPC campaigns, the one way how you can identify this one is either you are already, come here, you, come here. Either if you're already running ads and you have data for that, the fastest way and easiest way for you to identify those keywords would be through search term reports. So you would download your search term reports for the past 30 days and identify which are the search terms that you can use then as keyword targets or async targets in your campaigns. So that would be one of the ways to identify the best keywords to include in your PPC campaigns. So this is already data that already showed, data that you paid for, that already showed you that it works for you. So you would create exact matches for those particular keywords. Now, the second way how you can identify this, you can do also research on your competitors and see how well are they doing on certain keywords. And then you can see, okay, what are they doing well, what are they not really targeting. Those are also keywords that you might be considering adding them in your campaign. The third way to do this is you would do a reverse async. Come here, you. Come here. You would do a reverse async research on your own product. So this basically means is that these might be keywords that you're not targeting in your advertising. However, you are showing up for them and customers are purchasing your product with. So these are also eligible keywords for you to target within their campaign. The fourth one would be brand analytics and search query performance data. These are two different things. However, in these two as well, you can see the exact same thing on, hey, which are the best terms or queries that that my audience or potential shoppers are looking up my product with and might be considering buying, or even they are already purchasing my product with. So those would be the 4 ways that I would go about it. Let's call it 5 ways, because brand analytics and search query performance is not exactly the same. But those are going to be my go-to whenever it comes down to specific keywords to identify to include in your PPC campaigns. In the meantime, feel free to drop in the comment section your questions. I'm going to go through them as well. Next question is, how can I use Helium 10 together with my PPC data to generate more sales? So this is going to go along well with my point 2 and 3 from the previous question when I was asked how to identify the best keywords to include in my PPC campaigns. Here again, the way how you can use Helium 10 or any other software, that third-party software that might allow you to go and look up on whatever your competitors are bidding on, or whatever your product is currently ranking for, but you are not advertising for. That would be the way how we would use internally Helium 10. So we want to see what is working already for our customers, for our competitors, and then we would see what is already working for our own product. And we could use that in our PPC campaigns. Now, also something else that is not necessarily PPC related, but it's going to help with conversion is you can also look up your competitors and see, look up their reviews, see which are the things that your product has an advantage over, right? So for example, let's say that one of your competitors, they are generating a lot of traffic, but most people in the review section say that they don't like X about the product. Now, if your product is solving that X problem, the customer from the competitor has, what you can say is just emphasize in your product images or even in your text, in your SEO part, the description part, and even title if it's relevant, how you're solving that problem. So these are the ways that you could use Helium 10 when it comes down to PPC data. There are certainly different ways and many other ways to use it. However, this would be our no-brainer go-to. Okay, so really important here. An important question came in that is very relevant. So Amazon, they just announced a few days back, a week back or so on, that they are going to allow only a 75 characters within your title of the listing. And actually one question came up that is asking exactly that, so allow me to answer it right away. So the question is, I changed and reduced my title up to 75 characters. Impressions are the same, but no clicks and no sale. What do I do? So when it comes down that you reduce the title, do we have already an assumption that there are no clicks and no sales because of that, or how do we define that? Reason why I'm asking is because it can be a PPC issue or traffic issue, and it can be a visibility issue too. So when it comes down to reducing your title to 75 characters, it's really it's shrunk a lot. What you can do is, if you use specific keywords within your title that you can now add maybe in your description or backend, that is the first thing that I would be doing, honestly, especially if you have proof and data that is showing you that those keywords were highly relevant for your product and people were converting for it. So that is the first thing. That is only if this is not a PPC issue. Now, if it's a PPC issue, it's saying that no clicks and no sale, we want to double check if the listing itself has to do with it. One of the most common topics that I'm talking about and usually sellers would not think of is that it can be also that you don't have the buy box. So either you don't have the buy box and you're not even noticing, you're not going to have sales, clicks, and therefore sales. The third thing that I can think of, it can be also that you might have reduced bids. Right now, everyone is heavily bidding and they are just CPC, it's just getting more expensive just because Pride Day is coming. So that can also be a reason why it's not showing up. Now, as I was saying, you really have to identify when it comes down to this, how to troubleshoot. And when we talk about troubleshooting, we have to look into what is advertising related, what is not advertising related. SEO also could be one of the things. Maybe you index for specific keywords that already brought you sales, and right now they are not bringing sales anymore just because your title was shrunk to the 75 character. Again, based on that, you would need to have data. And when I'm talking about data, you can look up your brand analytics and search and reports to confirm that that is the case. Let me know if that helped. Okay. And or if you have anything additional that I could go and answer based on this, let me know as well. So again, one more really good question, and it's very timely, so I'm going to read it out. It's not necessarily beginner, but it can be considered. The question is, what do you recommend? Hugh, come here. Come here, Hugh. Come here. So the question is, what do you recommend? What is the role of Prime Day? Nowadays, I have also noticed that some brands do not get significant sales even during Prime Day, correct? In your opinion, what are the reasons behind this? So the idea is that Prime Day kind of became everyone is doing it, I'm going to do it as well. Really important for the past 2 years. What we are not doing anymore for Prime Day is, if we're looking at our net profit margins and we're analyzing, hey, do we even have inventory that we want to sell through quickly? Should we go for Prime Day? Should we not? The reason for that is because if we're not thinking that way, and if we're just making sales, just for the sake of making sales, what you can end up with is that, one, you're going to generate additional revenue, which is great, but it's not necessarily a profitable revenue, right? Second thing is that Amazon ads are going to be extremely expensive. And again, here, not much to do. Everyone is pushing their product. Everyone is pushing the cost per click. And it's going to be extremely expensive to advertise for the same keywords that you advertised even a week or 2 weeks ago. So right now, the reason for us actually to step back when it comes down to Prime Day, how we are going to control it, we are going to just make sure that the budgets for the campaigns that are best performing are still going to be there. So we are going to look more into the budget side rather than, hey, let's just pump as much as possible money into getting clicks. So right now, in my opinion, when it comes down to Prime Day, it's really step back and understand why are you doing it. Because Prime Day, the way I'm seeing it, it's highly dependent also on your category and niche. Yes, people might be going and window shopping on Amazon, but they might not be buying your product as well. In that being said, it's really coming down to, what do you want to achieve? Do you want to get additional sales and additional ranking and then super expensive, even negative profits? Is that the plan? You can have it. You can use it with your ad strategy, and again, then you're going to get additional market share. But if you don't have the same volume afterwards, again, you're going to direct. So when it comes down to this, honestly, I am right now way more on, let's focus on making sure that everything what works already has enough budget. Everything what we saw that did not work, we're just cutting off the budgets and even pausing things. And really, most importantly, when it comes down to this, the third thing is we're not creating any more new campaign, especially for this time, because as you know, it takes some time for Amazon to, whenever you're creating a campaign, to build history on that campaign. And what we saw is that whenever we're creating new campaigns, even if they are keywords that are highly relevant to our product, it's going to be really expensive. So these are the three things, the strategy that we are usually doing for all brands if they have enough inventory. So making sure that we are in budget for campaigns that already proved that it works, making sure that we are going to pause anything that is not relevant and we already have data for that. And then the third thing, making sure that for everything that is even in the search term is showing that we're getting sales, we're not creating new campaigns for it. Reason for that is going to be really expensive. Let me know if that answers your question. Okay, next question is where can I see placement performance and placement percentages in Amazon PPC? So this is something that you would do in bid adjustment section. And the way how you get there is you would open up your campaign, and then there are like certain portions of your campaign, the bid adjustments. That is the section that you would be looking into and see which placement performs well. Now, if you want to download the report, this is also possible in the search term reports. Actually, let me go through the questions again. So where I see placement performance and placement percentages in Amazon PPC, if your question is not really the outcome of like where do you see that, but rather than in bulk files, checking out which campaigns do have modifiers or not, this is the second thing that I would do. I would download your bulk files. And here it can be even for the last day because we're not looking into gathered amount of data that is showing you something rather than you just want to know exactly where your placement modifiers are. And then you would download that. And I think it's the placement column. That is the one that you should be selecting. And there it's going to show you exactly 0. It's going to be you have no placement modifiers. And whatever is above 0, that is a placement modifier for that specific placement. Let me know which one of these two scenarios are you looking for. But top of mind, those two would be the way how you could see placement modifiers and performance for it. Next question is how can I continue growing sales while bringing ACOS down? Wow, I love this question. This is, I think, it's not exaggerating the 100th time when I'm answering this question. And it's interestingly enough, I do always have the same answer for this question, no matter what is new in the Amazon ecosystem. So when it comes down to continuing growing sales while bringing ACOS down, it's not as much as cutting from whatever already performs, rather cutting from things that don't perform or adding to things that already perform. So I'm simplifying, I'm dumbing it down, honestly, literally, but this is really, it's that simple. So either you're going to look into whatever already works for your account, and then even if it's 100% ACOS, yes, we could reduce the bids, but if you are ranking or you created ranking campaigns for specific keywords and you're going to reduce the ACOS for the specific keyword, but you can end up with, yes, overall you reduce the ACOS for that particular keyword, but then you're also losing sales. Most of the time, this is what we see. So rather what we love to do is look at the ad level, look it into buckets. So we actually have on a weekly basis, whenever we are optimizing, we are going to look into what ad types are we running, right? So it's a sponsored product, sponsored brand, sponsored display ads. And then after that, okay, what is a specific for that particular ad type? So for example, for sponsored products, we want to know, is this a manual campaign? Is it an automatic campaign? All right, once that we establish that, we are going to look into, should I be investing in an automatic campaign? On an account level, not on a campaign level, should I be investing 100% to be ACOS? And probably that is not the case. However, if it's on a campaign level, and this is again a discovery campaign, we want to go more aggressively. And on the campaign level, you have the 100% ACOS. There, we might just open up the campaign and see, this is an auto campaign. It's going to trigger a lot of clicks. It's going to trigger a lot of things that are not relevant to my product. So if you're going to look up on an auto campaign and you're going in the search term reports, you might see that you actually have very good sales for specific search terms for your product that you want to convert on. And on a campaign level, it might seem that it's super expensive, but for those search terms that you showed up for that are completely making sense for you, you might be generating them at 20% ACOS. So that's why I'm saying that it's really important to understand first off from the ad type, then the particular qualifiers of the ad type, auto versus manual, which one are you running, and then see exactly based on that, how to take the decision, right? Because when it comes down to growing your sales while bringing ACOS down, most of the time what people ask is, how can I make this as cheap as possible? That is not always the question, or not the best question, is how can I make this as cheap as possible while making sure that I understand what I'm doing? Because most of the time what is happening is that everyone's going to advocate for reducing your ACOS, but no one is really taking the time to explain to you that if it's an auto campaign, it's going to act differently than an exact match campaign, right? So let me know if that helped. I aim to answer in more in depth for this question. Okay, so this is a great next question that just came into the chat, and this has to do. This is very, very similar to what I was just talking about how can I continue growing sales while bringing ACOS down, and this is very detailed, and I'm going to rate all the details because they're important. So, what do you recommend? My Amazon product is priced at $28.99, and the average CPC is $195. Tough. I have tried reducing the bids, but it did not help. Even when I get orders, my ACOS remains high. If I stop advertising, I don't get any orders. How can I overcome this situation, and what do you recommend I do? So this is exactly this very similar question that I just answered a few moments ago, but since here we have clear data on details for whatever you're selling and how much it costs, I think it's going to be helpful if we're going to answer this again. So right now, you said that I have tried reducing the bids. Very important, on what are you reducing the bids? Whenever you're reducing the bids on things that already prove that it's working, but it's just expensive, that is a different bucket than reducing the bids for things that already you tried and it did not work. So first question here is, did you reduce the bids for the things, or did you pause the things that did not work already? Because that already on an account level, it's going to reduce your ACOS. So this is the first question. Second question is going to be, are these automatic campaigns that we define discovery campaigns? So they are going to bring more searches than just the one exact term, or are these exact match keywords? Because if they're exact match keywords, again, there you can reduce the bids, and then if you're reducing the bids, you're not going to show up clearly. However, it means that is how expensive it is, that keyword, and then the rationale there is going to be, if I have 5 keywords that I'm competing for, can I at least afford to go for 2 keywords or 3 keywords even, and not for all 5 of them? Because keep in mind that just because you have the one keyword, the rest of the keywords might be interacting differently. So what I would do here, if I have at least 5 keywords that I'm targeting in exact match and want to see the outcome, then I would look into, all right, for those 5, what is my CPC? Because you're saying the average CPC. Now, for the one exact keyword that is describing your product, that it's making sales, what is the return on that one? And at least get, like, step by step a bit of market share, a bit more orders. And now, if you've done that, the next thing that I would be doing, you're most welcome. The next thing that I would do here is try reducing bids. Also look into, can you target your competitors? Is async targeting more profitable for you? Because that is also one tip that you can do there. And maybe it's a CPC for that, it's going to be less expensive. Let me know if that helped. All right, great. Next question. We are 30 minutes in. Again, quick reminder for whoever just joined a few moments ago. This is Noemi from ScaleWave. We are a digital marketing agency specialized in Amazon advertising. Today's session is one of our Ask Me Anything sessions. When we are just going through all the questions that are submitted, we are prioritizing Amazon ads, beginner questions. If you have a more advanced question, feel free to still drop it in the comment section. I'm going to answer that as well. Once that we've gone through everything that is submitted that is more beginner friendly. The next question is, what's the right way to manage positive and negative keywords in Amazon PPC? So there's no positive keywords and there are negative keywords, but it's interesting how you put it, positive and negative keywords. I'm calling it positive this way so I can use the same language that you use. Technically, there are no positive keywords, they are just keywords themselves, and then everything that is negative is anything that did not convert it, or it's too expensive, or it's irrelevant to your product. So when it comes down to this, really important, I'm going to give you 3 tips when it comes down to negative keywords. Whenever you're adding negative keywords, just keep in mind that there's 2 ways of adding negative keywords. Either you can add it in an exact match, either you can add it in a phrase match. Now, exact match is going to be, I'm not sure, how do I call this? Maybe let's say a black tumbler with plastic straw and bamboo lid. Let's say this is the product, right? So this is a description of the product. But if you see that you're coming up for something that is stainless steel already we know clearly it's something that your product is not, so that can become an exact match, right? And then if again you're coming up for anything that it's stainless, stainless can again become a negative keyword, but here you can have it in phrase match because it can be stainless steel mug, stainless steel, I don't know, right now it's just like lapses, but it can be different words that have the same root. So then that root, stainless, can become a negative phrase match because you don't want to show up for anything stainless, right? In that scenario, you would choose which one it is. Is this an exact match situation? Is this a phrase match situation? 2, when it comes down to negatives, really important. Negatives are not just something that you should set and forget. Why I'm saying this is because what we saw on our end, while we do have a clear list of negative keywords, which are keywords that we saw that for the past, days, weeks, months did not convert it, so they ended up in a negative list that we are always uploading whenever we're creating discovery campaigns. So either it's in that list. Sometimes what I'm seeing is that if you're going to add too many negatives to a campaign, you literally are just going to shut down all impressions. So I would be careful when it comes down to negative lists. While it's great to have it, again, stainless is something clearly not this product, right? So stainless, for example, would be something that I would be adding, but just be careful and mindful. For example, if something is coming up with glass or bamboo or plastic straw that is still relevant to your product, I would just be very cautious to add that as negative. Reason for that, again, what we're seeing is that if you're going to add a bunch of negative keywords in whenever you're creating your campaign, you might be killing off impressions, right? And the third thing, what I wanted to also mention, because I said that it's going to be 3 things. So when it comes down to negative keywords, it can be 2 different things. It can be negative keywords and negative products. So we also would want to have a list of products that are not our product and we never converted on, right? And or if we have anything that is, again, it's a stainless steel product, we showed up for it, was that we are just putting in that ASIN in Amazon and we're seeing that, hey, this product is totally irrelevant to whatever I'm selling. That also is something that could become a negative. So let me know if that helped and answered your question. Okay, let me just drink some more. And the cat also just tuned out, which is great. Next question is, how can PPC help speed up and validate A/B tests on Amazon ad? Love it. And you would not believe this is actually a question that it comes up more often than I initially anticipated, and I love that. So when it comes down to ads and how do we A/B test, really important what we do not do. Because what we do is clear. You're creating a campaign, you're adding, let's say we're testing 2 video ads. you're adding one video ad, and then you're testing the other video ad, and then you want to see what's going on. The one thing that we surely not do, and this is again experience I'm talking, because we did it and it did not pan out well. Tinker with pricing. We never want to, for the product, for the retail price, we never want to tinker with any other optimization in the meantime on the listing end. We never want to tinker with additional ad spend, additional campaigns, additional, additional PPC input. We do not want to create additional coupons. Why I'm saying that is because when it comes down to A/B testing and how can PPC have speed up and validate A/B testing, very often if you're going to do these 5 things at least, and if you're going to add to it, 1 week, let's say you did not test it, but the second week you're testing it and now you have a different creative, it's going to mess up and validate you the wrong data. So when it comes down to this, the 5 things that I would not be doing, I'm not changing anything. When it comes down to the SEO part of the listing, I'm not changing anything. When it comes down to adding additional budget or creating additional advertising for the particular campaign, I'm not going to muddy the waters, because we need clear data, good data, and a good way for you to test this. So with PPC, in this scenario, it's going to be, if we're going to create sponsored brand video ads, for example, we would be creating the one campaign. We are going to add 2 different ad types. It's the only time that we are actually creating different ad groups in the one campaign, just heads up there. And here what we would be doing is we are going to run for 1 week the one ad, and then run for the second week the other ad, and that way we're not going to alter anything, and that should be the data that it's helpful. And once that we got that data, really depends on how much you're spending. If you afford a $10 budget per week, clearly you're not going to get enough data. So what we're doing, specifically, we're boosting budget for this type of campaigns that we're testing to get data as quick as possible, and then to see which of them performs better. We're going to keep that on, like enabled, and then we might be tinkering from that one. Okay, now that works well, is there anything else that we could be changing to this video, and then test again in a different campaign? Let me know if that helped. Okay. Next question is, how do I determine the right bid for a keyword without overspending? So there are quite a few things here, and let's define right bid and let's define overspending. Right bid technically means that you are going to show up for the specific bid on whenever you're bidding on Amazon. There is another way how you can define it. You're going to show up in the exact placement that you want to show up with if you're going to bid that bid on Amazon. I think this is a better definition. And if we're defining that like that, technically the right bid for you is going to be if you are, especially in the supplements niche, for example, this more expensive CPC, if you're bidding $2 to show up on the first page of Amazon and your product is not showing up, then technically you did not bid the right bid, right? Because you don't allocate enough budget for your campaign to show up at the placement where you want to show up. So technically, then the right bid is going to be $10, $20, whatever it would take for your product to show up in the placement that you want to. And then when it comes down to overspending, this is tricky because overspending, I would define once that you have enough data, yet you're still spending on finding more data that is not meaningful and will not move the needle on, hey, actually, this is in a different way that I initially anticipated. I would define it that way, because if you are overspending, technically what you're doing, you're spending more than you should on things that are not going to move the needle. You have to spend anyhow, right? Overspending is going to be something that clearly is showing you that it's not working yet. You're just hoping and praying that it's still going to work. So it's important to understand when we are asking questions to define these terms. And for me, again, it was really important to understand this, and also for our employees. it's really important for them to understand this, because if they don't, right bid can be anything and overspending can be anything. So if we understand what the right bid is, then we can bid the correct way. If we understand what overspending is, which most people think that you're spending more than you should, that's not it. You are spending more than you should on things that already prove that it's not working. That is overspending. So let me know if that helped. Okay, we're 40 minutes in, baby's still sleeping. I did get a message. Okay, it's not relevant to baby. I'm like always already like looking up stuff. Is it the baby? Is it the baby? All right, cool. It's not the baby. Context, so you understand what's going on. We do have a 2-month-old baby, which she's exciting. She's just super exciting, and we just put her to sleep. So that's what I was checking on. All right, next question is, does running PPC help improve a product's organic ranking over time? It can. Great question. It can and it cannot. And allow me to explain. So sometimes what can happen is that if you're running advertising for a specific keyword and you see that you are spending, clicks are coming in, but you make no sales, that is a clear sign that even if you want to, you cannot rank for the specific keyword, which is really important because we want to see these as quick as possible, notice them, take note, and then say, hey, does it work for us to invest more in this keyword, in this strategy? Am I going to rank organically for it? And if we see that we don't, we're not going to run any more campaigns until we see that, hey, maybe it's just a relevance, maybe it's an irrelevant keyword. Usually it's not the case, but that can be one of the cases. Second, it can be that your listing compared to other competitors who are advertising for that specific keyword. It just doesn't cut it, so it's like way weaker. But when it comes down to organic ranking over time, we do want to check, especially if we're investing in a keyword that is highly relevant to our product, aka it's describing exactly our product the way how our customers would describe it. And then we really want to see if we're making sales and we also come up organically on the first page. Let me know if that helped. But usually I do want to say that if you're running ads in exact match, that would be helpful. It's not always the case. Okay. I am going to run for 5 more minutes the session and then I'm going to close it. Okay, this is the next question. It's a common one I'm going to answer. It's a beginner-friendly question, but also people who don't really understand ads might ask it. The question is, how should I determine a PPC budget when launching a new FB product? When it comes down to the budget, I really like that you're asking how should I determine a PPC budget. So it's not like I have $1,000 deal with it, but rather than if I want to run advertising for my product, and these are the 5 top relevant keywords for my product, can I afford running ads for all the 5? And that is a really important question to ask because the way how we would be doing it is, say, again, this is your product, this is a black silicone mug, glass, it's a glass mug with silicone, exterior, with a bamboo lid, and also with this plastic straw. So this is a super detailed way of me describing the product. But whenever I'm seeing that I want to launch, especially this product, I would want to see, okay, which are the keywords that are highly relevant to this product so I can test and see how much will it cost me. And the way how you can do this, literally you would need to create exact match campaigns for those 5 keywords and then see how much is it going to cost you to show up at top of search. Why I'm saying top of search, especially when you're launching, you want the most amount of eyeballs as possible. And usually top of search, the first page on Amazon, whenever you as a shopper would just write in Amazon.com and find, the keyword of glass jar, or I'm not even sure, glass tumbler, maybe. That's a good way to describe this product, a very broad way, but a good way to describe it. If your product is showing up within the first 5, placements, I may be considering clicking on that. If I have to scroll until the, I don't know, 20th page, or even at the second page of Amazon, I will have to scroll there to see your product. That clearly is going to show me that actually you don't understand that this is a product line. So the way how I would determine this is basically I would be starting 5 campaigns, all of them in sponsored product exact match, see how much it costed me to get at least the one sale, and then see out of those 5, okay, which are the ones that, first off, how much it cost me, and then second, which are the ones that I could replicate successfully and reallocate budget to from the campaigns where I see that it's too expensive for me to right away create ads for. Let me know if that helped. All right, guys, quick reminder, as I see that people are still joining, which is awesome. This is Noemi Bolojan with ScaleWave. We are an Amazon ads agency specialized in helping brands selling on Amazon with advertising. And this is our weekly AMA session that I'm running for the 32nd time already, where I'm answering all the questions that are Amazon ads related. If you also have business questions, feel free to dump them in the comment section below. We are right now prioritizing still Amazon PPC questions. Okay, next question, and the last one is going to be, should I advertise on my own branded keywords, and when does it make sense? And, this is also one of the questions that I, as a business owner, and I, as an agency owner, would ask. And whenever the brands that we're advertising for would ask, I'm letting them know, yes, why we should be doing it is because what I'm seeing on my end is that if I am not running ads for the keywords that are defining my brand and describing it exactly, but competitors are, they're going to show up first. And really, it's an attention game, right? So let's say that I want to buy something super, super specific. So it might be this Focusrite audio phase that right now I have. Hopefully, if I'm moving it, it's not going to mess up my audio. But if it's this Focusrite audio interface that I want to have Scarlett Solo, and someone else that also has audio interfaces are advertising for Focusrite, and they're showing up, and let's say that they have different products and multiple products, trust me that even if I want to buy this one, my attention would go to that other product as well, because it might be cheaper, it might look better, it might be more fancier, it might have better, better build, it might have a better design. So that's why I'm saying that the prime real estate for you is really your own listings. So make sure that you're showing your own products on your own listings, because that is already, hey, you already showed interest in my brand. Let me show you also my other products. But it's really important also to run for your own branded terms. Reason for that, if you're not running, usually someone else will. Okay, guys, and that is a wrap. Thank you so much for everyone joining. This was blessed as always. Again, my name is Noemi, founder of ScaleWave. If you're currently selling on Amazon and would need someone to take a look at your ads, see what's going on, maybe strategically give an answer of why certain things work, why certain things do not. And if you found value in this episode, feel free to, here in the comment section also, I left a link to book a call, and this is going to be a free call where it's going to be either me, either someone from my team, just joining you and just see what is going on currently with your ads and how could we help you. Again, it's value upfront. If we decide that we're not a good fit, we're going to tell you as well. But again, if we are a good fit, nowadays there are so many agencies, so many services, everyone's pushing their product as the best and last thing. And I just want to make sure that you are actually going to receive that care that you were looking for. And, from all the stories that I'm hearing from brands and previous agencies, we at ScaleWave aim to be really the best fit and best partner for you. All right, if you found value, please let me know in the comment section, and please join us last week as well when we are going to be back Tuesday at 1 p.m. EST time. Till then, be good. Take care. Bye.